Investigations have so far confirmed the involvement of the following in the abortive coup plot. They are Major General Mamman Vatsa, Lieutenant Colonel Musa Bitiyong.
Just before 9 p.m. on March 5, 1986, an unusual silence hung over Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison that felt heavier than the evening fog. Inside the prison walls, 10 soldiers waited for bedtime, not because they hoped to sleep well, but because they were not sure of the next day. Among them was a man once known for brilliance rather than rebellion, a polyglot, a quiet strategist, and a soldier's soldier. His name is Lieutenant Colonel Musa Bitiyong. He walked with steady steps. He was calm, too calm for a man walking into the arms of death. But how did a reserved, disciplined, and highly educated officer ended up tied to a stake, condemned alongside Major General Mamman Vatsa? To answer this question, we must go all the way back to the beginning. Welcome to this edition of Hispul Media. My name is Gabriel Adidia. But a moment before we begin, let me invite you to hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel so you remain tuned to the stories of our past. Thank you. So, let's get back to the story. Musa Bitiyong was born in the northern region of Nigeria in the early 1940s. This was a time when the shadow of colonial rule was disappearing and the promise of independence was only beginning to form. From a young age, Bitiyong stood out not for his physical strength but for his intellectual prowess. He was the kind of boy teachers trusted with difficult tasks, the kind of student who mastered languages with remarkable ease. By adulthood, he spoke several languages fluently, including Hausa, English, Fulfudi, and even French and German. Like many promising young men of his generation, Musa Bitiyong joined the Nigerian army in the turbulent 1960s, an era marked by coups, counter-coups, and a civil war that would push the nation to its limits. He enlisted in the army as a pupil at the Nigerian Military School Zaria on January 23, 1961 and got commissioned in the early days of the Nigerian Civil War on August 1, 1967 in the United Kingdom. His instructor saw him as meticulous, an officer who double-checked his maps, verified intelligence, and refused shortcuts. After the Civil War, Bitiyong attended the Infantry Officers Basic and Defense course in the United States of America. Later, he attended airborne training in the same country. Bitiyong became one of the first 3 or 4 Nigerians to become airborne certified or airborne qualified. But he did not stop there. Other educational achievements attained by Bitiyong included the United States Marine Command course at the United States Marine Staff College in America. Meanwhile, there have been speculations that Bitiyong was the officer who pulled the trigger that unalived Aguironsi and Fajuyi in 1966. At the time he was arrested in December 1985 on suspicion of conspiracy to commit treason, he was Director of Logistics Planning at the Army Headquarters in Lagos and had been nominated to attend the Royal College of Defense Studies in the United Kingdom. This was a war college equivalent course reserved mainly for senior colonels transitioning to junior brigadiers. His career was moving steadily and quietly. Between 1979 and 1981, Bitiyong served as Deputy Commandant to the then Commandant Brigadier Mamman Vatsa at the Army School of Infantry. While here, he was credited with establishing the airborne training program. Afterwards, he was appointed to command the 7th Infantry Brigade in Sokoto. Subsequently, Bitiyong was posted to Calabar, where he commanded the 13th Amphibious Brigade in Calabar and the 130th Battalion at Ikom simultaneously. The following year, between 1982 and 1983, he became the Colonel AQ at the 82 Division Headquarters in Enugu. Here, he contributed to the establishment of the first airborne of a Kandu Special Forces officer, a soldier's soldier. In June 1980, he was part of a team that went to Zimbabwe to recruit former pro-independence guerrilla fighters to the Nigerian Defense Academy. Despite being abandoned in the guerrilla camps in the Zimbabwean bushes by other team members, he successfully recruited about 100 former Zanla and Zebra guerrillas. He returned in December of that same year to recruit about 50 more guerrilla fighters. He also served as a member of panels such as the Ministry of Defense Contract Review Panel and the Military Religion Proliferation Board. He built a reputation as a disciplined officer not known for politics or barrack scheming. To many of his peers, he was simply a brilliant mind who kept to himself. His path was straight and focused, but history has a strange way of redirecting lives. And by the mid-1980s, the wind of Nigerian politics were shifting violently again. And behind the victories, something really tragic was about to happen. On August 27, 1985, Nigeria witnessed another palace coup. General Ibrahim Babangida overthrew Major General Muhammadu Buhari, promising a more open and more humane military government. At least, that was a promise. But behind those smiles for the cameras, the military was restless. Officers whispered about ideological differences, about the nation's direction, and about power. Within the army, one man stood out for his influence. His name is Major General Mamman Vatsa. Vatsa was a poet, an intellectual, the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and a childhood friend of the president, General Ibrahim Babangida. Vatsa was loved by many middle belt officers, including men such as Musa Bitiyong. It did not take long before intelligence agencies began reporting unusual conversations and secret meetings. Analysts said there was nothing concrete, nothing actionable, but it was enough to alarm the new regime. According to government allegations later presented at the tribunal, a group of officers had discussed overthrowing the Babangida's regime. The arrest of senior officers was planned for December 1985. Troops were allegedly supposed to move simultaneously in Kaduna and Lagos. But historians have noted that there were no weapons seized, no meeting minutes found, no troops movement ever occurred, and many of the accused officers denied knowing each other beyond routine military interactions. The government claimed the plot was foiled. Critics argued that nothing resembling an actual coup plan ever existed. However, caught in this widening net was Lieutenant Colonel Musa Bitiyong. Just days before Christmas, Nigerian security forces launched a coordinated arrest across the country. In Lagos, soldiers stormed Bitiyong's home at night. His neighbors recalled children crying inside the house, soldiers surrounding the street, his wife begging for explanation, and Musa walking out calmly, asking only for permission to put on his boot. Shortly after, he disappeared into military custody and never returned again. The next time the public would hear his name, it would be in connection with treason.
Investigations have so far confirmed the involvement of the following in the abortive coup plot. Lieutenant Colonel Musa Bitiyong.
But there are different accounts on how the so-called coup was uncovered. While some speculate that a junior officer overheard exaggerated political grumbling and reported to the authorities, others believe intelligence officers were hunting for dissent after Babangida's takeover. I have covered the full story of how the coup leaked in the video displayed here, and I will also leave the link in the description of this video. Meanwhile, once the alarm was raised, the arrest came fast and wide. What followed were weeks of solitary confinement for Bitiyong and others. No legal counsel was allowed, no visit from family, no access to outside communication. He was questioned repeatedly, mostly at night. Every answer was recorded, every hesitation scrutinized. Those who saw him later said he looked tired but not broken. After a preliminary special investigation panel chaired by Brigadier Sani Sami, selected cases were forwarded for court-martial. In the early 1986, a special military tribunal chaired by Major General Charles Ndiomu was convened. This was not a civilian court of law. This was a closed-door military process controlled by the same government that announced the coup attempt. Bitiyong was suspected of coordinating the plot to depose General Ibrahim Babangida. Following his arrest and interrogation, Bitiyong confirmed the coup plot allegations and noted that there were originally 5 or 6 of them. He claimed to have received 10,000 naira from Mamman Vatsa to fund the coup. He allegedly admitted that the 10,000 naira was used to cover travel expenses for 2 officers to meet in Benue State and promised to get more money from the same source where necessary. Meanwhile, Mamman Vatsa denied any knowledge of a coup. He stated that the money was a loan he offered to Bitiyong to start a farm project. Vatsa maintained to the very end that the money was for farming purposes. But this was not enough to save him. Other sources alleged, however, that after being tortured for 2 days, Bitiyong implicated Mamman Vatsa by making reference to certain private political conversations they had, which Vatsa also denied. In total, about 18 officers were charged. However, only 10 people were sentenced to death, as revealed by the Defense Minister, Major General Domkat Bali. Bali was the Defense Minister and Chairman Joint Chief of Staff. But several features made the process controversial. The accused could not choose their lawyers. Their trial was conducted in secret. Their prosecution evidence was never publicly released. Verdict could not be appealed. The head of state and the Armed Forces Ruling Council had the final and absolute authority. The trial lasted only a few weeks. During one section, an officer later quoted in the press claimed Bitiyong said, "If there was a plot, I was not part of it. If I discussed politics, I did not discuss a coup." But the tribunal had already made up its mind. When the verdicts were read, Mamman Vatsa, Musa Bitiyong, and others were sentenced to death. Wolo Soyinka, journalists, diplomats, community elders all appealed to Babangida for clemency, but Babangida refused. Bitiyong and others were transferred to Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison. Eyewitness accounts from guards and clergy present that evening described the condemned officers as surprisingly calm. One prison guard recalled, "Bitiyong prayed quietly. He told us, 'I hold no anger. I die a soldier.'" Just before 10 p.m., the officers were led out in pace while the firing squad took position. A low voice read their names one last time, and the command was given. Gunfire tore through the evening air, echoing across the Lagos Lagoon. When gunshot was finally over, the darkness of the evening night became calm and quiet. It was an uneasy calm as 10 bodies lay still. One of them was Lieutenant Colonel Musa Bitiyong. Nigeria woke up to the news with disbelief. Many Nigerians believed the execution were too swift, too politically motivated, and too secretive. However, many questions spread within the rank and file and among Nigerians. Was there really a coup? Was a threat exaggerated to justify a purge? Why was a trial hidden from public scrutiny? Why were pleas for mercy ignored? Journalists at the time described the national mood as a mix of fear and sorrow. Among the Middle Belt communities where Mamman Vatsa, Musa Bitiyong, and several of the condemned men came from, the grief was deeper. To this day, historians remain divided. While others believe the coup was real but poorly organized, others believe the coup never existed, only loose talk magnified into treason. Others still believe the trial was political, an internal power struggle disguised as national security. What is clear, however, is that no concrete evidence was ever made public, no independent body reviewed the case, no appeals were allowed, and the condemned were executed swiftly. Unlike Mamman Vatsa, Musa Bitiyong left no poetry, no books, no political speeches. His legacy is rather quiet and more tragic. Even when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu granted state pardon to Major General Mamman Vatsa in October 2025, Bitiyong's name and others involved were never mentioned. He is remembered by colleagues as a disciplined, intelligent, reserved, and not politically ambitious soldier. For many officers of his generation, his story remains a reminder that in a military regime, loyalty is never enough and silence can be fatal. As the years pass, Nigeria is left to ask herself, what happens when justice is decided before the trial begins and when the cost of power is human lives? So what is your thought on this? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Click here for our exclusive story on how Gideon Oka staged a violent coup against Babangida's regime 4 years after Bitiyong and others were executed. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.